Alright, so basically this is part 2 of my study videos for the anatomy lab, and I'm just going to quickly review the veins and arteries of the right leg. This is really basic, so here we go. So I started with leaving most of the muscle on the right leg, and I'll remove that later just to show you some other details. But just starting anteriorly, you can see the abdominal aorta and inferior vena cava. Following the abdominal aorta down, we can see the common iliac artery. And if I just rotate my model a little bit and zoom in a bit, you can see the common iliac bifurcates into the internal iliac artery, which I won't be following today, and the external iliac artery, which I will be following. Similarly, the inferior vena cava has the same bifurcations of the internal iliac vein and the external iliac vein, which I will also be following. So, starting with the external branch of the artery, as you can see, the external branch travels just deep to the inguinal ligament, and upon passing through the inguinal ligament, the external iliac artery becomes the common femoral artery, and this then gives two branches off, the superficial femoral artery and the deep femoral artery. And then the femoral vein comes off the external iliac vein and continues down deep below the sartorius, and it gives off the branch known as the greater saphenous vein. So just to visualize the greater saphenous vein really quickly, basically it's the largest superficial vein in the body. As you can see, it stays above the muscle for the whole trip down to the foot, except when it travels below here and comes just medial to the popliteal fossa, which I will discuss in a bit. And it continues down, continues down, continues down. You can see it's this lighter blue one still highlighted all the way to the big toe. So the greater saphenous vein is massive and basically travels the whole length of the leg superficially, and as we've learned many times, it can give rise to those big, ugly, tortuous varicose veins, which you can get surgically removed. So, just coming back up here to our femoral vein and common femoral artery, basically this area here, unfortunately it's not well demarcated in my model, but you have the femoral nerve as well. I'll just add in the nerves here. So you have the femoral nerve as well, the femoral artery, and the femoral vein, and that forms the femoral triangle where our bud Mickey Baker got stabbed. So I'm just going to take away the veins there because it is a bit messy. So once again, talking about the femoral artery, just going to select it here. Basically, this femoral artery gives off two branches, the superficial femoral artery and the deep femoral artery. So I don't have the deep femoral artery here, but the deep femoral artery supplies the medial and posterior compartments of the upper leg, whereas the superficial femoral artery supplies the thigh, the leg, and the foot. And as we know, the superficial femoral artery can be palpated just medial to the sartorius, and apparently cardiologists love that. And this is also the artery, this and along with the common femoral artery is where you thread up a catheter to put stents in people's hearts and stuff like that. Now, the superficial femoral artery has a number of branches, which I will go over. Has the popliteal artery, or popliteal arteries, my apologies. I'm just going to zoom out here, rotate my model, so we're looking at the posterior aspect of the knee, and zoom back in, and this right here is the popliteal fossa right here. And basically, the popliteal artery, one of those branches of the femoral artery I was just showing you, is apparently palpable just behind your knee, although it's extremely difficult, and I sure as hell have never found it. But apparently it is palpable, and also coming through this popliteal fossa is the tibial nerve and the popliteal vein, which gives off the small saphenous vein, which was also talked about in the dissector, and I'm going to go over really quick right now. So just rotating back anteriorly and refocusing on the great saphenous vein, as said in the dissector, the great saphenous vein travels anterior to the medial malleus, if I'm pronouncing that properly. Basically, the bony protrusion of your ankle travels anterior to that, and then anastomoses, or gives off a branch of the dorsal venous arch of the foot, which then anastomoses with the small saphenous vein I was just showing you in the popliteal fossa, which I'll go up and show you in a sec. But also mentioned in the dissector, the small saphenous vein, just going to off-click it from here, right here, travels posteriorly to the lateral malleus. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but travels posteriorly to it, and then travels up the back side of the leg, back up here, and once again we're back at the popliteal fossa. So I'm just going to go home here, come back to this view. I'm just going to remove many layers of muscle so we can kind of just visualize a couple things a bit easier. So here we go. Our model is now just some veins, arteries, and bones. And I'm going to zoom back into the foot here, where I'm going to show you the, assuming I can click it, I'm going to show you the dorsal pedis artery. This is the pedal, basically the pedal artery that is palpable as well. And then rotating my model to give you a lateral view, we have the medial plantar artery and the lateral plantar artery, which anastomose with the posterior tibial artery. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is that both the dorsal pedis and the posterior tibial artery end up in the same place. Basically, the dorsal pedis comes off of the anterior tibial artery, and then we follow the posterior and anterior tibial artery back up to the popliteal fossa, which, you know, if I throw the muscle back on here, basically we have the popliteal fossa here, and they anastomose with the popliteal artery, which takes us all the way back down around to the superficial femoral artery I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Yep, so that's basically everything. I probably pronounced some stuff wrong, and maybe I even got some of the anatomy wrong, but oh well, I was kind of made this just off the cuff. So there we go. I'm done. Good luck in anatomy tomorrow. Ciao.